Good evening and welcome to Awakening Wednesday. My name is Gino Walker. I am the guest speaker tonight. I am so excited to be here with you tonight to have this intimate conversation, comforting hate. That's a mouthful, yes. But before we get into that, the holiday season is up on us. It is happening. You cannot stop it. So let's just dive into it and enjoy all the wonderful festivities that will be coming forth in this divine time. And that being said, Universal Spirit Center is definitely we are a busy center doing a lot of wonderful things in the world. And we want you to participate, we want you to know, we want you to share with your friends and family so that we can keep this train going. So let me share a couple of things with you. One second there. There we go. So this is just kind of a bullet point for some of the things that we have going on. Take a look at it. You can find out more information on all of these things on our webpage, always at universalspiritcenter.org. And I'm just going to touch on a few of them tonight. This Sunday, get ready. Getting Grounded is Reverend Kevin's talk, and I will be the featured guest artist this Sunday. It will be a powerful talk in grounding us in where we're going and releasing that which we've had. So I hope to see you, if not in person, online for sure. And let's just take a look at our history. This is the story it tells of abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison in Boston. He was attacked because of his belief that black people should not be enslaved, and also that the emancipation should happen now and not later. And so a group of white men attacked him, tied him up by his wrist, and pulled him around. The police had to intervene, and they put William in prison for the night, and the next morning he left Boston. He got out of there. And with that, let's just say our prayer together. And one of the reasons we say this prayer is to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. More than now than ever, we must be focused on the light that is unfolding. So we are the light bearers of love and forgiveness, vibrating the flames of equality, grace, and peace all over the world. Embracing our history is key to overcoming racial, sexual, and mental inequality. We are all a part of our history. And we'll just breathe into that. Thanksgiving is coming up, and you have a wonderful opportunity to participate or to volunteer. Doug will be taking meals down to Mexico. So for more information on that, you can go to our Yes table if you're here in person, or if you're online, you'll be able to find out some information, or you can always call the office if you can't find what you need. This is a save the date, save the date. It's coming up. As I said, the holidays are unfolding, they're happening. And so we want to support Universal Spirit Center. We want to support all the good things that we do here. And we're having a holiday arts and crafts fair. So excited. We are in need of vendors. We're in need of volunteers. Go to our webpage, universalspiritcenter.org, for questions. And also, once again, you can call our office to find out more information as well. That was a lot going on. That's a lot going on, and because of all that you do for us, we can do all of these things. It is because of your divine participation. And so I'm giving thanks right now, just giving thanks for you and all that you do, for the divine prosperity that you pour into us. Let's take this moment right now and let's give thanks. Let's give thanks for all of the wonderful ways that the universe is constantly providing for us. Let's give thanks for all of the things that constantly unfold for us. We are immersed in this divine light, and knowing this, I just want to say thank you. These are ways that you can give through our QR codes. You can go online through our Venmo. You can always send a check. We have ways that we're looking into as more to find other ways to help support, to make it easy for you to be able to give. If you're in-house, if you're on the road, no matter where you are. So I want to thank you for your consciousness, for your givingness, for all that you do. That being said, comforting hate is the topic this evening. And the quote this evening, the quote for November, very powerful quote. Let no man pull you low enough to hate him, by Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let no man pull you low enough to hate him. So this evening, we are talking about comforting hate. This was really powerful when this came through me. I was looking at the news, and with all of the war that's going on, with all of the inequality that's happening all over the world, with the frustration of everyone. And I found myself being very angry at these people, those people, pissed off at them for having the thoughts that they would think. And I ran across the quote, let no man pull you down enough to hate him. Now, I don't know if hate was what I was feeling, but I was very angry. And, you know, hate has quite a few characteristics. It has anger, it has depression, it has anxiety, it has stress. All of these things are wound up. Hate is an emotion that we must just be honest that we all have or have had at some time. It's rampant in our world, and I noticed how I justified my feeling because I was right in that feeling. So let's just take a little journey and acknowledge some of the degrees of hate. That hate is very much committed or entangled with fear. And as I started to look at myself, I recognized that, yeah, I was afraid that the things that this person and people were saying, the things that were happening, that this was going to hurt not only the world, but what hurt me. And so there's a sense of fear that's definitely very present when we are very angry or when we're in hate. And so tonight, this conversation is about recognizing the hate and moving it into healing. Because not acknowledging it doesn't make it go away. I think quite the contrary. I think the fact that we haven't acknowledged the hate that is running within ourselves. And you may be a person that says, no, I don't hate anybody, and I understand that. But I would ask you to look, to search where you've been angry with someone, or so angry that you could not hear what they were saying. So angry that you would not speak to them or speak about them. We have seen here that through our political differences right now, that families have it's wedged. It has put a wedge between some families where they can't be in the same room together. They can't come together and love one another. They definitely can't have any conversation. So when we recognize the fear, and behind all of it, there is a justification. There's a justification that I'm right for the way that I'm feeling and thinking. And you are wrong, and you are stopping the good that could be. So when we look at that, we want to start looking at, there's fear, there's ignorance. Sometimes there's just ignorance, just no knowledge of what a person is talking about or aware of whom they're talking about. There are past wounds that a lot of us hold, that trauma that we have experienced. And in essence, we're nurturing this feeling. Because when you feel that, and you may be justified, that you have been wronged, that someone did do you wrong, or something did happen to you wrong. But it's like that old saying, no matter how much poison you want your enemy to drink, you're the one that will feel the effect of it. We are feeling the effect right now. In everything that's unfolding in this world, we are feeling the effect of us nurturing hate and justifying it. So, hate arises in many places, and fear is the biggest proponent. But as I said, there's fear, there's ignorance, there's past wounds. So when you look at ignorance, it's a lack of understanding that can lead to hate. The ignorance of not understanding someone else's pain or someone else's point of view. And, as I thought about myself when I was really upset with what I was hearing, I realized, well, wait a minute. On one hand, I say that, that the difference, that the fact that we are all different, that's what makes the world go round. And so if I can't sit across from someone that has a different opinion than I do and have a conversation, doesn't mean I'm going to change their mind or they're going to change my mind. But I realize that in order to do that, I would have no fear that's in the middle that they could change my life, that they could stop my world from becoming. And that was it's a breath that I'm still taking in, because underneath it, some of the things that people are saying or have said, or things that have been said to me, there is that part of me that, and I think now that part that's been traumatized, that wants to hold on to that. It's like it's almost like I'm afraid to let it go, because if I let it go, then where would I go? What would be the next step? If I let that feeling go, would I be encouraging it to happen to me again? Would I be welcoming it in because I'm not holding this? And I've come to the place that, no, I can let it go. I don't have to hold on to that. So when we start looking at personal wounds that have been inflicted, verbally or physically or both, as we talk about systematic racism, and we see how hatred in Israel and Gaza, Hamas, how hatred of each other, hatred of people, hatred of a religion, hatred of people would lead people to justify killing babies, killing each other. And so as we merge into, and wherever you are with that, I want to say what I'm bringing forth tonight is not about what side you're on or if you're on a side, but more about healing wherever that hate is within you, wherever that anger is within you, wherever that past wound is within you, to start healing that. Because as we heal ourselves, then the world is healed. As we recognize that the fear that someone or something can take our life away or can take our dignity away, if we can start to heal that aspect of living together, that you living how you live does not have to take away from how I live. But in us wanting to control, because I even realized for myself with my justification, because I was right, my thinking is right. But there is still that part that said that if I'm right, somebody has to be wrong. And if they're wrong, then they are a threat to me. And we find ourselves that we can nurse that feeling. We can regurgitate it. We can sit with it day in and day out until we no longer see a human being anymore. We just see something that is trying to stop us from living our best life. So in this journey of comforting hate, moving from hatred to healing, this is a call for all of us, for each and every one of us, to recognize where hate is playing in our life. And if hate is too strong of a word, where anger or fear is playing so in your life that you feel that another group of people, another religious group of people, another political group of people, another people of color, another people of different sexuality, mentally, whatever you put the name on it, that you fear for your life, then that there is a call for healing. There's a call for healing. I believe that part of all of what is unfolding right now in the world is a huge call for healing. And not to heal somebody over there. It is a call for me to heal me. For me to heal me. For the little times I judge what people are saying, or I get angry at what someone has said out of ignorance. But how great could it be if I am a fountain of love, and through love, and this is not to overlook it, absolutely not. but it is to be able to come from a space of love and rather instead of a space of fear or anger or disgust or worry or ignorance. So when right now, we see that our hatred has not moved to healing. Some of us have, but there's a big bulk of us that have not, because the violence that's happening it's happening in our world. It's happening all over the world. Violence and discrimination, emotionally, spiritually, everything is being attacked. People are feeling attacked. And so this is a call for each of us to enter into our womb and to heal this, to heal the stories, the trauma. And sometimes that means letting go. Sometimes that means that the justification to be right does not justify the hatred or the disconnect from our humanness. To have a family that has broken apart because of politics. Most of them don't know the people that they are now not willing to agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. In healing, we find other ways, other common grounds that we can stand on. Other ways that we can still see that this is a human being expressing its truth. Not my truth, but its truth. This is the call that's coming for all of us. So, as we go through this journey of recognizing hate, this emotion is so strong, so powerful, and so palpable that this chronic anger that could be flowing through you, not only will it emotionally stun you, emotionally put you in a place that you would not be able to function, but it will physically as well deplete your body. Dis-ease will start to ravish your body. All type of physical and mental health issues. And you want to ask yourself, is being right, is my point being right that I have to tell you that you're wrong, is that worth it? In our teaching, we believe that the infinite presence is within each of us, and that in this divine presence, all needs are met. If that is truly so, if that is something you truly believe, then no other person can thwart your divine essence of living. And I say to myself, I go, well, but they sure can create some laws. And so where I'm living in this with that is that it's an opportunity, because this is a contrast. This is a contrast. I'd like equality. We don't have it. Okay. That cleared up things for me. All right, this is part of life expressing and expanding consciousness. I would like myself, all people, children that are coming forth, all the divine lights, to live in a world where equality is for everyone. Right now, that's not happening and has not happened. So then I hear that that's a call not only for healing within me, but a call for action, but an action fueled from love and not from hate. We are seeing as hate and the war is moving forward, we see as the hate in the United States is growing, it never heals anything. It only destroys. It only destroys. So that opened me up to, oh, okay. You know, I know that there are some people that wonder why our racial equality project, why are we still doing it? I mean, George Floyd, he's moved on, and it's gotten a little better. So I know some people may be thinking, oh, you know, it's gotten a little better. No, it has not. This is why we do the work. This is why we invite you, because an action to move this consciousness, to move consciousness forward, to move healing forward in a space of love and higher consciousness, shifts and changes the world. Some of the greatest teachers of all time have taught us that. And I'm going to share a story with you on one of those teachers. You know, hate also, it limits everything about our life. It stops us from reaching out to another group of people that we don't know, that maybe we've only heard things about. So you meet an individual that you say, oh, they're a part of this group, and it stops you from even getting to know this person. They may very well not be someone that you want to participate with, but it is the prejudgment that's sitting before. It is the judgment that they are not like me. I don't like them. They're different. I don't believe in their morals. I have a higher standard of living. Sometimes in the spiritual communities, certain people feel that they're on a higher spiritual level than others. And that always cracks me up, because we are always living in this essence, as long as we're in this 3D, to live a higher essence. Not to sit up on a throne to claim that you are a higher. If you are living that, your life will absolutely show it. You won't even have to tell people about it, because it will be seen by everyone. And those that see it, that recognize it, they too will want to be a part of shifting their life, of creating from a different space. And so right now, this place of hate is so present that we have to talk about it. And you want to be honest with yourself. This anger, this fear, it's time that we take a real look at it. Through the holiday season that is coming forth for all of us, I fear, and my thoughts are that the war will still be going on. And I do understand that the healing of hate and anger within ourselves is not an overnight job. Some of us have been working on this. I'm really beginning to work on it. So I have to say I'm in the infant stages of really starting to heal this space. A couple of nights ago, Sunday, a part of REP went to the museum in Balboa Park, and an amazing art exhibit. I encourage all of you to go. I have been blocking myself on the name of the museum, but it is the only museum in Balboa Park that is free of charge. And the artist that we saw there, this is the same artist that did the portrait for President Obama. They did a discussion about him to express his life and how he came to be in the space that he is in. And then there was a Q&A that came afterwards. And there was an older gentleman that really started the fire. He said his statement disturbed quite a few people that were there. And I noticed that for myself, I did not appreciate what he said, but I did appreciate that I wasn't angry about what he said, because I've been working through this process that in order to accept the diversity, then everybody has different opinions. Everybody has lived a different life. And to just shut down because I'm right with what I'm thinking, or this is what the majority thinks, so this has to be right, is the same mind that says that because of the color of your skin, you can't go here or you can't go there. Because of your sexual preference, you can't participate here or you can't be involved there. Or because of your sexuality. Or because you are mentally not in the same realm that I'm in, so your difference makes me uncomfortable. And I realized that I was actually in a state of joy because I thought, wow, how great that is for him to start this fire. And the professor, Dr. Denise, I loved her demeanor in having the conversation with him. It was that she gave a beautiful smile and said, well, we don't have time for all that, and I don't agree with it, but this is what I will comment on. And it opened up the room and allowed people just to converse and be able to talk, to share ideas, to recognize the difference and not be intimidated or in fear that it would stop your life. Hate is something that we can no longer pretend is not here, or that it's only certain groups. Those people over there hate. I don't hate, I just dislike. Well, there's an energy with that as well. Oh, they hate. I'm not the hater. So becoming observant of what our conversation is and how we are saying it and what we are saying is very important. It is time for us to take a look at that, to examine our prejudice. Where are you prejudiced? Whom or what don't you like? It's time to pull it out the closet of your mind and take a look at it. Sometimes you have a reason. Somebody may have hurt you or physically or mentally. Sometimes you've learned it from a child and you actually don't even know why. Sometimes it's something that you've heard or seen. But it's time to take it out of the mental closet of your mind, out of your heart, and take a real look at it. And look at, how is it serving you? Is it still serving you? Or is it just something that's a part of you that you have become comfortable with? There are parts of us that we have become comfortable with, and hate is one of those. You know, it's easy to say, oh, I hate when they do that. Oh, I hate this. And so I've started to take notice that even saying the word hate has an energy about it that I'm checking myself. It doesn't say you have to do this for you, but these are thoughts. Thoughts. Does it inspire you? Does it make you want to be a better person, or does it take away from you? Racial Equality Project, we also really, through Universal Spirit Center, you know, we show videos. We have things on our webpage that to links to be able to dive in deeper, to educate yourself, to start to go deeper than the surface of what someone has said or what you've heard. Education is truly important. Sometimes when we find out greater things, when we educate ourselves about what has happened, we have a greater appreciation, or at least a greater understanding for what may be unfolding. But without that, there's a sense of ignorance, that we're regurgitating what we've heard or what we've seen, not really having any type of real understanding at all. So it's really important to take knowledge. Knowledge is power. It's very powerful. And do as I'm doing right now, dialogue. But set a divine opportunity within your space, within your heart, to be open to listen as well as to talk. To listen without judgment. And if anger arises within you, take a moment to recognize that we want to say, this person is making me angry. This situation is making me angry. But I would urge you to think that it's your thoughts about it that are making you angry, which is back to the core root of fear. Having a conversation with someone that is on a different side of you does not mean that the conversation is there to change the person or the situation. It is an opportunity to learn. And you may, at the end of that conversation, feel as though you are complete, that this is, I agree to disagree. I do not see it that way. But thank you for sharing. Glad we could talk. We have to open up our conversation and not be afraid to talk to one another. Empathy and compassion. Central to comforting hate is to cultivate empathy and compassion. In having empathy and compassion, it's trying to understand someone else, trying to understand the situation, trying to put a different perspective on it other than that of hate or that they're wrong and I'm right. empathy and compassion can move us to a place where we can walk the bridge to healing. Getting to that place, no matter whom or what it is. To see the world from another person's shoes is to have a very different perspective. So many times when we're engaging in conversations, we're so busy telling our point of view that we don't hear the other person's point of view. Nobody is listening. Everybody's talking at each other. That's not engagement for education, for learning, and there can be no compassion or empathy in that conversation. There can only be right or wrong when we're both barking at one another. There's no room if there's no listening. So, I want to share this story. There's so much information, but I just want to I want to end on this story. Powerful story, very much dealing with hate, right and wrong, all of it. And that is the story of Nelson Mandela. And I'm sure some of you know the story, and most of you know his story. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison opposing South Africa's apartheid system. He faced harsh conditions meant to break his resolve, meant to break his spirit, but Mandela refused to give up his efforts to achieve equality for all people. He was in prison for 27 years. Some of the most harshest conditions on the island that he was on, there were only black people and people of color. In Africa, people of color are people that are mixed colored, so some Asian, Indians, but all the black people were in one part of the island, and the other people of color were in a different part. There was so much hatred for black people, Africans, that they would not allow the men to wear long pants in the winter. They made them wear shorts. They didn't let them eat the same food that everyone else. They ate the bottom of it. They weren't able to see family or friends maybe sometimes 6 months at a time. They could write, but what the guards started to do, if they didn't like the words that were said, they would darken out the words. And so then when their loved ones were able to find a way to eradicate that, to be able to read, then they just started cutting out from the letter. And literally people would receive a letter that had holes throughout it. There was so much hatred there, and Nelson Mandela talks about in the early stages of him being there, he was filled with hate. And so the guards had hate for him, he was filled with hate, and this hate, bam. This hate met hate, and it was nourished and it was growing. But something in Mandela realized that this was not the way. And he realized that even though he could not be out in the world helping his people through apartheid, which I did not know this, that, sorry about that, my gizmos, gadgets that I'm hitting here. I did not know, let me find this because I thought this was really I did not know that the word apartheid in the African language meant apart from. Apart from. So, as all of the British colonies and throughout the African countries, Africans could not work, could not apply for work the way others could. They had to live in areas that only they could live in. This hatred and oppression was throughout. They could be beaten and pulled over by the cops without cause, and whatever they decided was the problem, that's what it was. Even the way that Nelson Mandela was thrown into jail for 27 years, they did not truly have for life. He was actually thrown into jail for life because he was a part of trying to move the government, his people, to live in a place of equality. And so, you know, many South Africans defied apartheid. Tactics included civil disobedience campaigns, national strikes, and boycotts. Nelson Mandela joined the struggle in the 1940s as a young lawyer. By the 1950s, he had become an important leader in the struggle against apartheid. The South African government responded to demands of equality and freedom with repression and violence. They shot and killed unarmed demonstrators and detained and arrested many. Defiance of apartheid had started peacefully, but Mandela now believed that armed struggle was the only way forward. He and others formed an armed resistance group called Umkumhato. In Swahili means spare of the nation, also known as MK. Mandela spent 17 months underground trying to gain support for armed struggle, but was arrested in 1962. Then in 1963, Mandela was put on trial for a number of charges. He and 7 of his colleagues were sentenced to life in prison. Political prisoners faced the worst conditions of all, condemned to hard labor. Mandela and his fellow activists spent more than a decade breaking rocks in a lime quarry. Some prisoners were assaulted and tortured by the guards. Contact with the outside world was almost completely severed. When Mandela arrived on Robben Island, he was permitted 1 letter and 1 30-minute visit every 6 months. He was denied permission to attend the funeral of his mother, who passed away in 1968, and one of his sons, who died in a car accident in 1969. It would be 21 years before he could hold his wife, Winnie Mandela. His 2 younger daughters, Zina and Ziada, had to wait until the age of 16 to see him. Glass walls separated prisoners from visitors. They talked on phones as guards listened to every word. Letters were heavily censored, with words blackened out if they were not strictly personal. After prisoners found ways to read blackened content, censors began cutting out large portions of letters, reducing them to shreds. It would be very easy to hold hate in that space. This is a quote from Nelson Mandela. "The truth is that we are not yet free. We have merely achieved the freedom to be free, the right not to be oppressed. We have not taken the final step of our journey, but the first step on a longer and even more difficult road. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others." That line right there It's very powerful. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. This is something that hatred to healing calls forth. To be in this space of healing, this is where I choose to live. This is where I choose to expand into. That the freedom that I can have within my heart and my spirit, that I must have that for each and every individual in this world. Whether I agree with how or what they're doing. Because in that, there's true freedom. These are a couple of the quotes. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. These are Nelson Mandela quotes. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Do you know that the guards that once treated him with such malicious hatred came to love him and cried for him? We can heal hatred, but each of us must be committed ourselves. Nelson Mandela had to heal the hate within him before he could share that with the world. And it's more than just saying, I don't want to hate anybody. I know you understand that. There's a true essence of understanding. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. And as we know, Nelson Mandela became president. He was released after 27 years, and they had their first democratic vote. And he was voted in as the president. They've come a long way, not at the finish line. We've come a long way, not at the finish line. But right now, the emphasis is on us to start to comfort our healing, to comfort our hate, to acknowledge that there is hate, to acknowledge our anger in different places, people, situations. For to be free is not to merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. I will leave you with this song. We are not alone. We are not alone on this day. Deep in my heart, I do believe, I know that we are not alone. We shall overcome. We will overcome. Oh, someday. Yeah. Oh, deep in my heart, I truly believe that we we shall overcome someday. Thank you for joining me tonight, and know that we shall together, the world shall overcome this state of hatred, this state of fear. I do believe that there's a healing that's taking place within each of us, and that we can participate. So I ask you to join me in this journey. If you have thoughts or ideas for our racial equality project, please let me know. If you want to sit in on one of our Zoom meetings, we meet every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. No matter, you don't have to be a part of our center from wherever. You go to our webpage, it says Community Zoom, click on the Zoom at 4 o'clock Pacific time. We can overcome this. We can rise above this. We can live in harmony without everyone having to think alike, be alike, look alike, love alike. We can do this together. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. Rest in peace. Know that there is a light. There is an energy and a frequency of healing that is palpable, it's real, and it's happening now. Peace and blessings, my angels. Thank you so much.